Ich bin das
Well, hello you all. Top of the rainbow here. This is me, LaQueer, your host of Topics of Cancer, where we talk about queer topics all the queer time. Why? Because we need to. The topics that we talk about is my viewpoint from a Cancerian's perspective. Let's get into it. Today we're going to talk about personality. Still peace. You see, personalities are the reality of who we really are. It's the opposite in the decision making that's sometimes projected from those around us. Evil communication corrupts good behavior. And I'm speaking to myself when I say this. We have to get out of our heads. And in order to get out of our heads, we have to go to a place of silence, solace. Not to be confused with peace. Now, you see, silence is different from peace. Peace is the result after a conflict. After you fought and won, after battles, after taking and talking time over and analyzing or psychoanalyzing the situation. However, silence is still unintimidating, unmoving, still. It's within the silence we find ourselves and all the answers to who we are. It's hard to be still when you think about it. Think about it though. Have you ever been with someone who just can't sit still? You know how you be in the car with someone and it's just that moment of silence. Sometimes that momentary moment of silence and it's like they have to say something. And I don't give a care what it is. They just have to say. Sometimes they say, "Why are you so quiet?" Maybe because I want to be. I don't know about you. But silence is golden. It's an art. It's a dying art that most of us cannot imagine having. And if they were to imagine having silence, there would be peace. And in peace, there would be stillness. See, I'm guilty of that. I'm guilty of always running around, being busy, having things to do, juggling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things, and not just taking in a moment of silence. Always in constant motion, gathering information, finding clues, and connecting dots, ruminating. Now, what if, when you stop and remain silent, what would happen if you just don't even focus on anything? You just sit and be still. See, your mind, our minds, is constantly moving, yet your body is still when you are in stillness and silence. You're left with facing your own thoughts because you no longer weigh the options of what if, but why. And that's a dreaded question that we all hate to face and answer. And I'll get into it why. Now, it's a bit tricky because, check this out. Even in the why, we have to remain still. In why, we have to constantly sit and allow a response to form without thinking, but acting. I may have lost some of you, and if you don't understand what I just said, that's because you're still looking for or acting in peace when you need to work in silence. It's not calm. It's that calm, still voice where our answers lie. And that, my dear listeners, it's hard to do that. It's hard because we are now faced with questions that only we have the answers to. And reality is truth. Reality is truth, and the truth hurts when you have to look in the mirror and say, mirror, there I am. No longer in the shadow of lies, deceit, denial, deception, just even deceit of your own self. When the reality is the person who is looking back in the mirror. Now, think of silence as meditation and prayer, which might be hard for some. And the reason why it's hard is because it takes us out of ego into go. I'm going to repeat that one more time because it may not hurt in the back. It takes us out of our ego and it places us into go. Go to fix your brokenness. Go to fix your mindset. Go to fix your communication. Go to fix your character. Go and be yourself. Go and trust yourself to know that there's still peace in the matter. I was listening to a crime podcast because it relaxes me. I know there's a majority of listeners who listen to crime podcasts. Sometimes listen to them to go to sleep. I gotta tell you, you might want to stop doing that. That's probably why you gotta lock your door 2 or 3, 4 times. Anywho, ain't no judge here. No judgment. No judgment. But it relaxes me because I can shut off my mind and focus on something else than what's going on around me. Or just to keep me busy. You see, I try to see if I can fit clues and strategies to figure out a situation before the end of the show. I'm hyper focused and quiet, still, and glued into what's being said or not being said until I reach a conclusion on who. And in doing so, I find out why. Now, I started to think to myself, what if I were to put that same energy into myself, becoming hyper-focused, hyper-vigilant, quiet and still, until I reach a conclusion on who, and in doing so, finding out why. Sometimes it's within the matter that's the matter. We get so caught up in our mindsets, past ways, ego, all that scientific psychology stuff, and we don't really focus on the general matter of the fact, and that is ourselves. The reason why we can't take our own advice is because we don't take the time to listen to ourselves. We rather hear everybody else talk and push the agenda and again try to, just like those podcasts, those crime podcasts, try to fit and insert clues and try to come to a solution. And think about this. If I was in that situation, this is what I would do. That's what you said. But why don't you just turn that around and say, I am in that situation. And this is what I need to do. To be quiet, to be still, to focus on the unfocused. It's easy, but it takes peace. And I know I said in the beginning that peace is the result after a conflict. Well, let's choose our battles wisely. Sit in our peace, our understanding, our love for ourselves, and acknowledge the fact that we are wonderful, beautiful beings. Let it not be about colorism, and we understand that there is a war out there, but sometimes, however, we need to just take all that out and just take everything in. Peace, love, tranquility. You ever rode in your car and had the music off and you can hear the road at the bottom moving underneath the wheels as they turn on the vehicle? You can hear your engine, and if you got a putt-putt, you can hear the ratter and the clatter, boom, boom, boom. But you do come to a place where, for a moment in time, everything is still. Everything is motionless. See, I've noticed throughout my time here and even handling certain situations throughout my life that in order for me to actually find it, I have to be in the darkness. Because let me tell you this, if you already are the light, you should not be afraid of darkness. Because wherever you go, you're going to shine bright, big, bold, and beautiful. And nothing can stop you but you. Someone told me to not be so hard on yourself, to pat yourself on the back and say, look how far you come. Do you ever take time out to congratulate you, and not in an egotistical way, not in a grandiose way, but you actually take that time out to look at yourself and commend yourself and say, man, normally I would have cussed you I would have backhand slapped you, and you really look at yourself and you actually salute yourself and say, I didn't trip out. I didn't wild out. I didn't call a friend or two and, girl, this is what happened, girl, this. You actually just took that time out to realize that everything's going to be fine regardless if you can't figure it out or not, because you got silence. You have still peace. And not a lot of people have that. That's the one thing besides time that we take for granted is stillness, is peace. There's many people in the world that wish that they can have just a minute to themselves, to actually just sit and do nothing. And yet many of us take that for granted. It wasn't until today that I realized it's all in your head. And in order to adjust that, to get out of that, it's making peace with the past and being still in the present. Once you get a concept and a hold of that, you can truly have an understanding on what still peace is. And that's when your true self will come out. Let me tell you this again, personality are the reality of who you are. When you finally realize who you are, you become that person, and that person becomes your personality, and you become everything and more. Sharing common ground. And sometimes common ground is not so common. Think of that. I had to sit back and tell myself, I'm finally in a place of peace, of stillness, of love. I may not have 2 dimes to rub in my pocket, but I got my peace. A lot of people have money, cars, expensive things, but they don't have This goes out to all of you out there who are struggling with mindful meditations. And that's crazy. That just popped in my head. Mindful meditation was the first name of my podcast. Then it moved to Unapologetically Queer and Unapologetically Queer. And I finally came to Topics of Cancer because you know what? I can only be me. I can only be myself. I can only appease what makes me pleasable. I'm not here as a fashion show or to entertain, but I'm here to learn and to teach. And those who have an ear, let them hear. And the rest is said and done. So, my message for you today is peace be still, peace is still, peace was still, peace is made of steel. And remember, in order to find who you are, you have to face reality. And that's a hard choice to do for most of us. Many of us don't want to do that or take that journey because of what it may bring us to, but let me tell you this. There's always healing in the why. And believe me, it's going to be a continuous question and a journey asking why. But if you don't ask questions, you won't get answers. And let me tell you this too. There's never a stupid question. If you don't understand it, do not be afraid to ask somebody something, because I guarantee you ain't the first and you definitely won't be the last. Well, it is almost about that time for me. I would love and like to thank you for lending your ear. And you could have been anywhere else, but you tuned in to me. I thank you. I truly do, for helping my page grow, for giving me the love, like, and support, and maybe even just listening for the first 14 minutes. If you made it to the end of here, send me a message and say I made it to the end and I was peace. I was still peace. Well, I am the queer, and remember, I love you. And I say this all the time, that I am the queer. And remember, if nobody else tells you this, always know that I love you, you love you, we love you, and always be true, be you, unapologetic.